Well, good evening, everybody. We've just arrived in time. Semi-Pro's just arrived in time. We're here in Virtual Pool 4 Online. We're here for another round 4 match in the 2021 8-Ball World Championships. I'll need to sort my chat out in a minute. Bill has been in practicing. Semi-Pro, I haven't seen him. He's just showed up, waiting in the room, going up. So, good afternoon to Dwight. So we'll see how warm or cold Semi-Pro is going to be for the match. We of course had a good match last night between Bedhead and Cobra, and the result wasn't what everybody expected. Bedhead had Cobra in trouble quite a lot of times during the match, and in the end it was a fairly comfortable win. Now I'll just adjust that chat over to the side. Good evening to Cobra. Good evening or good afternoon to Hairpig. So Bill has won the lag. Off we go, race to 11. And Bill needs a good start, and he needs to be consistent. And I think needs to get under Semi-Pro's skin a little bit. Good evening to Bedhead. Well played last night, Bedhead. Hardly a Bedhead cut in that match, which was amazing. So Bill opting for the solids, which is not a bad choice considering that 3 of the stripes are just to the left of the 2 ball. But Bill's got the wrong angle in this 7. He wants to go down the left hand side from this shot, and if he's going to go down he needs to make sure he gets on that 1 ball. Well, he's managed to stun it for the 6. I thought he was going to run past there. Must have been a shallow angle that looked from that end. Well, this looks fairly straightforward to get up onto the 2. I think you just had to check that a little bit, just to, not so much to change the line, but to just kill the pace the cue ball was coming off the rail at. And now he's got a gap to get into. That gap there. Well, he's all over the place with that shot. I think Bill tried way too much with the inside English there. I don't know why he tried to come that direction when it would have been just as easy as to get the pace right and find the gap. Good evening to Hazard, good evening to Spectre. Yeah, I thought it'd be a lot simpler than trying to do too much with the cue ball than just find that gap. I mean, there's a huge gap there to get to the 8 ball. And now Semi-Pro is going to be the favourite. And Bill's chance may well have come and gone already in this rack. Never got a chance to look at the bracket before the match started because I was messing about on Restream and then realised I was running out of time. Well, he's just on the bottom side of the 10. He's got a slight angle, but not an awful lot, so he doesn't want to be trying to push the boat out and do amazing things with the cue ball. He may well just leave this long, whatever it is that the 9 or the 10? What's up there? Is he going to take that 11 first? No, it's the 9. But that sort of opportunity that Bill had there, you know, if you're going to be consistent and on a more regular basis, when you get opportunities like that, as you go deeper into the tournament, if you're still going to remain on this winner's side, you've got to be taking those opportunities. He's got plenty of time to take some more opportunities, but it would have been better for Bill if he'd got that as a good start, because I think Semipro might be a wee bit straight in this. Let's have a look. He can just draw back anyway, yeah. So that's what happens when you don't get the job done. Good evening to Fast Eddie Felson. So, Bill has lost the rack on his own break, and Semipro has certainly got at least one ball in the break. Now, well, the obvious choice here immediately would be the solids. I don't think that's. I think the problem with the stripes is, of course, the 9 ball. The 4 ball, I think, passes the 9. So there's not a problem there on this side of the table. 7 ball over the left side, 6 ball up in the corner or into the side, depending where he ends up. And Semipro should be taking this one as well. Now, I would reckon he would like to get onto that 6 right now if he could. Now, if he draws off the 7, if he comes off the 7 and goes there, he could take a risk and sort of falling over here somewhere for the 6. If he overhits it, he's on probably the 3, but he's going to go the other way and take the 6 first. Well, that's just as good, because he's still got a nice angle in the 7, so 6.5 a dozen, doesn't matter how you do it, but you had to get rid of that one. And we know the 4 goes, so he doesn't want to be really inside. And I think that angle in the 3 is perfect. So the one that he's got to worry about is how good he is on this 4 to come over that other side. He's got an angle. He's got to get into this a bit though. He doesn't want to underhit it. He wants to be as shallow an angle on this 8 ball as he can. Now, how's it spinning? And that'll do nice. And that's the punishment inflicted even more, because Bill losing that rack on his break. Semipro steals the first rack and then breaks and run in the second rack. And this is the sort of start Bill needed. Well, the 8 was it not just a bit narrow, the 8 ball into the side? You know, the wide open space makes it an easier pot if you can get there, and they got there, but I think his main worry was having to get right on that 8 to make it easier to drop in to the side pocket. So now Bill on his break has got a ball. He's committed to the solids, and once again These solids look good. Well, I think he should be taking the 5, because the angle he's going to have, or the angle he should have, is going to take him off the left side rail and across for the 8, or out into the table for the 8 into the side. So I'm giving this to Bill. He can only throw this away. Yeah, did you guys see that one last night in the Bedhead Cobra match where it didn't go to the top-down view when the player called the 8 ball? It stayed as a blue circle, a blue donut instead of a yellow donut. It was weird. No, the 8 ball's gone in. So that now, is it going to be re-racked, I presume? Yes. What the choice is, it gets re-racked and you break or put the opponent back in. Is that what it is, Larry? Oh right, so the 8 gets spotted and then you have a choice as to whether you want to play the table. Now who's scratching the break? Semipro there. And so Semipro broke there, didn't he? And he put the 8 ball in on the break. Well, if that's the case, Bill was very quick at making his decision, was he not? Did Bill not miss a crick there? And actually having a look at the table and see if it was good enough for him. All right, I've got you now. Right, so the breaker has that choice. Right, that's why I'm a bit confused. Right, I see now. So if you pot the 8 ball in the break, you get the message on the screen to spot the ball, play from there, or re-rack them. Right, I've got it now. Anyway, more importantly, Semipro has re-broke. He has chosen the stripes, and he has another rack in the board. So it's a good, strong start from Semipro. And I was looking at the stats last night. Semipro is up there with breaks and runs, so he's not the top. Maybe have a look at that later on. In fact, just while Bill breaks off, just give me a sec. I'm not on the thing yet. Hang on till I go to the chat in the lobby. //SB. Get this thing to work. Where is it? That's the one I'm looking for. So we should have 2 matches underway tonight, am I right? I thought there was 2 due to start. Maybe they didn't show. I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, we'll be able to see that later. Let's concentrate in the match. So Bill on the stripes now. Well, the biggest problem obviously here is not just potting the 9. I mean, he's just really having to rely on luck to get on this 8 ball anywhere. I mean, if he trifles on this, if he plays any sort of direction to come over here, he's probably doomed to failure anyway because of the traffic that's there. He's bound to block himself off, and if he tries to get to this side for the 8 ball, he's got to be really good as well. He's got to keep running. Well, he's given himself every chance, but he needs to watch the scratch here. Or is that 1 ball in the way? Let's have a look. I think he's okay, but this is a toughie. Full focus, and he's just got it off the jaw. An important run out there for Bill, keeps him in touch. Break back to Semipro, and again, couple of balls in the break again, 3 balls anyway. Cobra had a fair bit of bad luck in the break last night as well, didn't he? I mean, he must have had, what, 2 or 3 scratches in the break, I think. And meanwhile, the pink 12 on the left side is a reasonably narrow window to get on that, and he'll more than likely take it now if he's sitting on it. And did Bedhead not run out on one of your soft breaks as well? I think you tried that soft break and Bedhead came in and ran the table. So back to the drawing board with that plan. No, he didn't. I thought he did. So Semipro, little tricky dink down the rail here, because the cue ball's running and you're never guaranteed you're going to get good. But that's going to be good enough. Now this is, you've got to stroke this. It's not a thump, it's a proper stroke through the ball. And that's a big stun draw, because you can see how it doesn't fizz, it just comes back with the pace of the shot. And Semipro opens the gap to 2, and of course each rack that goes in from Semipro, the pressure just builds up and builds to produce and respond every time, and that's where Semipro is hoping things are going to eventually go wrong for Bill. And this is not going to be conducive to a run out the way this setup is at the moment, because I don't think Bill can see that 6. If he could have, he would have probably taken it and broke open that 3 and the 9 ball, and he can't. But the 6 ball is still there, so if he does plump for the solids and takes that 5, he's still got a chance to break that 3 out off the 6. Well, he doesn't want to get greedy. He wants to be patient. He might be trying it off this 7, believe it or not. He might be having a smack here, and then things can go wrong. Well, he didn't hit a smack, but he's still got his break ball there if he needs it. But he's going to have to pull off a tough one. Well, can he see the 4? Yes, he can. So that's not so bad. And the fact that you can see the 4 he might want to try and come just below the 14 if he's got the angle, just below it, to about there, if he can get there. Well, he's going to have to do it the other way then, but he's going to have to leave it tight, or he's going to have to go forward so he can push the 6 in and come around the corner and into them. But he has to be thinking about this. He's the wrong angle in this 1 now as well. And now you see again, Bill's trying it at the wrong time. And you know, he's got desperate and he tried it at the wrong time, but he's done the next best thing. Good evening to Mark. Well, Semipro has played the kick. Now a wiser player may well have took the tougher option and tried to hit another ball rather than hit the one that's going to open up the 3 ball. But nevertheless, it's not finished any good for Bill. And Bill didn't really end up having a shot the way it worked out. And let's have a quick look just to make sure things are okay down here. Yep, 15 ball goes. And he's looking as if... I thought he was having a look at this combo for a minute there. Now the obvious ball to get back down to this 9 and 10 is the 12. And the other issue being he would much rather get rid of those balls up there first and then come down for these last 2. Good evening, good afternoon to Brain Fell Out. I got Tam on Skype this morning. And well, there's the first, as far as I can see, the first error by Semipro. And this is a gift that Bill does not want to be wasting here. Oh, he doesn't. I know he's slightly the wrong side, but he's got to come out and make sure he gets out far enough. And I think he's almost there. I think Tam's been on Discord as well once and then never come back. But I think that's the price you pay in coming onto Discord and ending up talking to me. So Bill is back to within 1. Semipro though, back on the break and back with a ball in the break. So the solids, we've got 4 in a row down the bottom here. And the 8 ball again very adjacent, so this is looking extremely good for Semipro. Well, what he doesn't want to do is run into the 3, so he'll just stun into this and maybe run across to the 9. He's bound to be on something. But well, so far as I say, I'm counting 1 error from Semipro that cost him a rack. And we're in the 8th rack now. But that's the sort of level of consistency you have to be at if you're going to be playing at a level that's going to put you well in contention to go far in this tournament. You know, Bill's had one chance in that first rack that went pear-shaped, and even at this stage it can be so costly because of this alternate break, and how good or bad your luck is in the break. You know, Bill's not made a heck of a lot of mistakes other than the first rack. He's just struggling to get onto the tail of Semipro, and again he's chasing 2 racks down. Once again it mounts and ratchets up a little bit more for Bill, and I think that's dry. It sounded dry to me. Now this time, looking at the table, well, you don't want to be choosing solids if you're going to play that 7 and break out those 3 balls. You know, you're at the moment the pink 12 ball goes into this corner, but again you've got to have to make some sort of decision. He's going to get rid of the 12 into the side if he can, choosing the stripes. But if he does that, he's then running into that 11 ball from that angle. You know, I would worry about leaving that 12 ball any later, simply because the 7 ball makes everything awkward there, and you've now got to rely on getting good on that 12 ball or playing the 15 and nudging things. So don't forget, Semipro had a chance to get that 12 ball and take it away and get it out of his head. He's now got that running in the back of his head while he's at the table here, and well, he's having a look up and down here. What's he doing? The 11 ball. And now he's made it worse, or has he? Yes, he has. He's now in trouble unless he can get in behind it, because it ain't going into those pockets. It's a tight squeeze into the side if you can get below it, and if you can leave a cut, you can cut it up the table, but it's awkward. Now he's just trying to expose it enough, and he hasn't got there, I don't think. Well, I can't believe he's got enough of that ball to pot it in the side. He might just be trying to lock up to the 4. Well, no. Well, maybe it'd have been better to do that, because that was such a tough shot. But don't forget that that ball was over here and he was on it, and it could be the fact that he didn't take it when he had that chance that has ended up costing him the rack. If Bill can get his act together here, the 4's off the rail, so there's no problem there. But I reckon he might want to. He might want see that. I worry about that 3 ball, even though the 3 ball's, you know, in a handy place to get onto the 8. I just worry about getting to the 3 ball, especially where the 1 ball is, because you have to. And oh well, Bill's blown it big time, and that is a big mistake. And unforced errors like that are going to be painful. And that, where the 3 ball is, just gets you thinking, well, obviously Semipro could see it to pot it, but he was trying so hard to get good and out onto the 80s way off the mark. Bill is getting a second bite of the cherry here, and I'll tell you, Bill, you cannot afford to throw this away. Yeah, I never got around behind that shot to have a look at it. I thought he could see it. Well, I think that's probably the better move to take the 3 just now, even though the last 2 balls are down the bottom of the table. I mean, the 8's isolated in the middle of the table. You've got to have some sort of shot on it. And Bill's just getting himself awkward here. That's a good pace. Now, I think you just... Let's have a look at that line there. I think he can go forward. He's drawing, and he has to get this right. And that's not bad. Must get this 8 ball away. Well, Bill got lucky then if Semipro couldn't see that ball properly. And he's got himself back to within 1. And it keeps him interested in what's going on. But is that the cue ball that's went there? I think that's the cue ball that's gone. Well, here is a bonus opportunity for Bill. And, you know, these balls are all on. And he needs to just set himself here and take his time. You know, have a good look at the table. And as I say, you have to have a route map in your head. You have to get the GPS working. And if it's all tuned in, then you'll know where you're going. And I think he might have gone wrong straight away there. Or can he see the 5? Yes, he can. So it's solids for Bill. Again, the only worry with where he left himself there in the 1 is that the cue ball's running. He would have been preferring to take that 1 ball there, and now he's going to have to hunt up the table for the 1. And again, that's not good. And this is going to be the important one, because I reckon he's got to get up there now. Well, he's content to leave it long, so it's just a kill shot. He wants to leave this 7 with not an awful lot of angle on it if he can. Well, he's just rolling it, but that's just as good because it's going to leave him straightish just to kill it or come back an inch or 2. Well, this was a must out for Bill because again it administers the punishment. Semipro's made the error with the scratch and Bill has taken it, and that was well done, and he's now back on par. But I think the brakes let him down again, and look at these balls. Well, I suppose the 6 ball in the solids is a wee bit awkward where it is. But, you know, not much you can do when your brake isn't working for you, when you've got yourself back into parity. I was 79. Of course, you're talking about Frank Williams, you know, of Williams, the Formula One team. I could have thought you were talking about the vicar in Dad's Army, because I think that was his name as well, Frank Williams. Maybe I'm wrong. So Bill, oh, where's he ended up here? Oh, he can. Let's have a look what he's got here. Well, he's got the 1, and he'll be hoping he hits the 9, and that'll do nicely. But he's dead straight in the 2. Now, of course, the 4 ball would be a good ball to get across for that 8 ball at the end of the day. And Bill's looking at the 6. Now, Semipro has only got 1 ball up the table, and he's got a problem with the 10 ball on the left side. Well, I think he might never have got any better on that 6 ball, let's be honest. And it was a difficult shot. You know, he was hoping to either get it or leave it over the pocket, because it's obviously a blocker, and that 10 ball on the left side is going to be the big issue for Semipro, to get really good on that, because there's a very, very small area to get onto this 10 ball to be taken at well, basically up past the 4 ball, I would reckon, because it doesn't go into this corner. The 2's blocking it there, I think, and it goes up there and it doesn't go into the side. So he could try pushing it on towards the 6, but I think all he'll do is pot the 6. I would doubt the 10 ball would follow. Well, he's got an angle, maybe slight though. No, he hasn't. He's pretty straight. There's a very, very slight angle there. I don't know whether he can get across. And now I don't know what he's going to do. He could try with a wee bit of inside coming off the short rail on the top and coming down the inside of this 10 ball. Well, that's done him. And Bill should be in the lead in a minute. Because I don't think there's anywhere that Semipro can go other than if we can see enough of this to call the bank. And you can't go anywhere where Bill's not going to have a shot. 4 ball isn't blocking him to the 6. Well, I think he just wants to drop this 6 in and do nothing else other than stay there. He wants an angle in this 5, and that'll do. And well, you don't underhit this, you get up top side of the 10 ball. And he's made sure he's got there. And now, well, tendencies to put a wee bit of inside right. Got to get the pot though, just to bring it past the 10. And now, Bill has the lead for the first time in the match, I think. So Semi had his chance, but that 10 ball was always going to be the big issue. And again, like the 12 ball in that previous rack, it was the one that was a downfall in Semi-Pro's attempted run out. So Bill now has got Semi having to work. But he's got a ball in the break. Well, I think he'll probably well, there's not really a great option for a run out here, is there? Because again, we've got a problem stripe ball in the side rail. And Semi-Pro is going to be potting a certain amount of balls, and he's going to have an issue again that most probably is going to end up in an attempted bank on that 14 into the right side pocket. Unless he bangs this 11 and nudges the 2 and kicks the 14 out, because he's got a perfect angle to do that. Oh, it's missed a hit. And the other worry for Semi is I don't think there's a problem ball on the table for Bill. You know, even if Bill thinks that the 2 and 3 aren't great, if he gets to that 4, well, he's trying to slam it in off the 4. It's a reasonably big pocket, but I don't know whether. I think he has to just hit this right on the line of the half of the 4 ball, and that's a good shot. That was well played. Well, this is a good response from Semi-Pro. Had a problem ball, eventually got to it, and straight away the pressure goes back to Bill and his break. Where's my bottle went to? Oh, it's over here. So, into rack number 13. Sounds dry to me. But look at the mess in the table here. We've got Curly the Caterpillar lined up in the middle there. So, Bill's break is dry. But there's not a lot of choices here for Semi in this. Well, he's broke out the 12 and he's broke out the 4. Of course, still an open table. Now, where do you go from here? Well, if you look at the solids, the 5 and 7 aren't an issue if you're running them from this side. If you look at the stripes don't have that problem. Oh dear, Bill. And that's a fatal mistake again. And Semi's now on the shot that Bill was wanting. He could take the 7 if he wants. He's going to take the 4 by the look of it, or he's just assessing the situation, but that's a bad one from Bill. And Semi knows that at this point, with the way these balls are, he's got to run. So Semi's opted for the stripes. He hasn't. Well, he's got the angle just to draw back, but he doesn't want to mess with the 2-ball. In fact, he's trying to stun across. Has he gone too far? I think he can just get to that. You can just see it. And maybe he couldn't, but I'll tell you something. Bill's got to push this 2 onto that 13 if he gets better on it, to try and get it into the pocket. And that's going to be the one that's going to scupper Bill's chances here. Now the 5 and 7 I don't think have been touched since we last looked, because they still go. But he's got to push that 2 dead on to that 13 and hope it follows it in. Well, you know, even that shot there is a draw to get somewhere, and there was no guarantee he was going to be in anything good. I can't believe he tried to get below the 2 to take the 2 up the table. He does not want to leave that 13 ball there, and he's tried again to get rid of it. And he's running out of options. Now the best option is to take the 6. He's still got the trouble with the 5 and 7 and running out of balls. But if he takes the 6 and gets into, I think he's straight as well on this. That's the other problem. He could do with not trying to pinch too much in this, and well, again the 2 balls undone him because it stopped him rolling onto the 13. But that's the pressure when Semipro has taken that last rack. Bill ending up on his break and having to perform to try and retain his lead that he eventually got, and it looks as if it's going to disappear. Now Semi's either going to check this cue ball or he's going to let it run and take a risk here, because the angle he's got is cutting that back into the side, and he has to miss the 8, and he has done. Well, Bill tried so hard to get there and gave about 2 goes to take out that 13 ball, but never really got himself good on the 2, which was really the one surefire way of dealing with it rather than trying to run into it. And meanwhile, Semipro with a 7-6 lead breaks off and gets a ball, and well, I think the solids are reasonably good apart from the 3. The stripes are reasonably good apart from the fact you've got to play a combo on the left side. And the other thing is there's a stripe in the top rail. So that's probably why, or it's probably one big influence in Semipro's decision to stick with the solids. Although where he's ended up here is actually, he's gone right off kilter, because he could cut the 5 into the side, and he's back to square one because he's ended up exactly where he was 2 seconds ago. Or can he see the 6 this time? Yes, he can. Well, there is the one problem ball we mentioned in the solids in getting on that 3 ball. And, well, he's going to have to play a very good shot here to drop down. He's got right English to square the cue ball off the short rail and come down in a straighter line, and that looks good to me. That is really well played. That's excellent. Well, Bill is back to square one as well, because he's now back to trailing by 2. And we're rapidly running out of racks here. And, well, this is Bill's most important break of the match so far. He simply needs a ball. And disaster. The cue balls went straight into the left corner pocket, and it couldn't have ended up any worse. Well, he's got a touch of the Cobras there, Bill. That ball went in at 100 miles an hour. Right, see you later. So it's the combo to start off with. 5 on to the 14, is it? And look at where the 8 ball's hanging. Well, if you start nudging balls around the table, you know, it's not unusual for a ball to roll near that middle pocket and nudge the 8 ball in. Got to be careful. And I think he's okay. And again, there has to be one problem in the table for Semipro to get to, and he's tried there to get a nudge onto that 1 in 10, but it's not all that difficult. If he could have got on that 12 right now to drop to the short side of the 10 and take it across table. Now tell a lie, would it squeeze in past the 8? Yes, it probably would. But he's, let's just say his options are minimal on that 10 ball. He's going to have another go. And this time, he's got success. 11, 12, 10 and 8 then, or 12, 11, 10 and whatever he wants, they're all there. And, you know, Semi-Pro's just that bit better at problem solving than Bill has been. Although he's finished a wee bit awkward in the 10. But it's now a significant move, because Semipro is now comfortably with a 3-rack lead for the time being, and on his break again. And there's a ball going into the left corner. Ball up to the top right corner. Cue ball stays in the table. 2 ball gets kicked in. And a bit of a mess. down this bottom side. But I'll tell you, while Semi-Pro is sizing up things here, give me a minute, because I want to go to the stats, and if I can remember what I'm doing here, just give me a minute. We'll go to 8 ball. Once I bring it up, we'll be back in the match in a second or two. Event name, tournaments. So if you just type in 2021, the weird thing, the way this search thing works, if you then delete the 1, hang on, not that. It's done it again, hang on. Oh, I don't hit the stats in the tourney page. But this isn't working either. It's taking an eternity. Let me try it the stats way. Where the hell's the stats thing? Wait a minute, I'll check it in a sec. What's happening here? Bill's at the table. Oh, can he see this 15? Oh no, he's going to have to take the 10. And look at the problem with the 15 ball. He's got to stay this side of the 15. No, that was never going to get there, Bill. The only way to surefire get out of that position there was to leave the cue ball here for that 15 so that you can get down here for the 8. And that was just never the way to get there, because you were always going to run into the 1 if you were finishing, you know, the wrong side of the 15 and having to run to the left side of the table. And then you're relying on luck to get a shot in the 8. And Semi-Pro should be tidying up here. Now let's go back to that, see if I can find my way around this. Where's the green bar you're talking about? This here? That's select a player. Or am I in the wrong, is it in the home page you mean? Of course, you do realise that now I can't see what the chat's saying because I've got it in the white screen. Hang on. I think well, what's Semi-Pro done here? What's he done here? Well, he's bolt straight in the 8 ball, I think. Green bar, alright, see event stats. Right, let's look at the break stats. Well, obviously these break stats don't take into consideration the fact that some players have played more racks than others, obviously. But if you look at runouts from the break, say Spectre Don's in the 1 loss side, but he's got the most. Stubbs in second place on 8. Cobra is on 7. Matt, what the hell happened to Matt, by the way? I never even noticed he was playing his match and he's lost. Bedhead's on 6 runouts. Albinario on 5. LS3 on 5. Now some of these players will be out of the tournament now, I'd imagine. Cheeky Chico on 5. Semi-Pro on 4. So Spectre Don has been the most consistent in the runouts from the break. Now if you look at average balls made, that's a bit confusing, isn't it? Because you've got some of these here where the stats don't register. Well, so that's a bit misleading, that balls to break thing. Average balls thing. Break fouls. I think Cobra, though, is at the top of the league in one of them, and I think it's this one. Cobra has got the most fouls in the break, which is now tied with Sergeresh. So he has... That's the common stats. That's better. Rax Ran, Spectre Dawn is 16 as well. Bedheads, second place with 14. Stubbs, third with 12. Chico with 12. Albinario 11. Semipro 11. And Cobra with 10. And if you look at the balls, the 8 balls made, so you've got the ball shots and the balls made. Woody's had 45 and made 33. But I think if you look at it from that point of view, the other way round, Larry's had 36 balls shot and 33 made. Bedhead's one better off. He's had 35 shot and 33 made. Woody's had 45 and 33, so there's a drop in percentage there. Stubbs had 40 and 33 made, so Spectre Dawn's top of the board on that one as well. And that's from the one loss side now, of course. Back to the match. I've been waffling on. And meanwhile, Semi-Pro's on the hill. Yeah, Bill's made way too many, I'll say that again, way too many errors, unforced errors when he's at the table, that's cost him dearly. And well, it all looks so easy, but he's got to be careful with this though, because he's near the rail and he has to control this to leave a nice shot to get on this last stripe. And that's not great, because he's trying to check this up to come across again. You know, that was a risky shot to be playing. It was even riskier to let it run round the angles. And again, he's now left it in dodgy territory to get this done. But it's there and he survives at least one more rack. Now, that was on his own break. Ball in the break. Cue ball top side, 8 balls going nowhere where it is at the moment. So again, there's a hit got to be made somewhere along the line, or you have to get extremely good. Well, there's the hit, that gets rid of the 3. And there is a choice of balls at that end of the table. Semi-Pro on the stripes. Now, does that 13 go in the side? Not, well, let's be honest, not really comfortably, does it? But he's going to leave it long. And I can't see a problem. I mean, he could leave the 12 or the 11 as his last ball to get on the 8. Although the 12's slightly hampered where the 4 is in terms of just being comfortable with the cue ball, but he's left himself a bit square in that 11. Can cut the 14 in, come out for the 15. It could get a little bit tricky if he doesn't get good in that 12. I think he might have been... Well, the 11 goes in the other corner there anyway, so there's no immediate alarm for the 11 ball, because he can get back across the table. Now, was there I'm sure there was another match tonight, and did it not start or whatever? Because I've never seen a match up in the bracket. Did somebody forfeit? If anybody can remember. Oh, the Albi match started. Well, we'll be joining that in a second then, because Semipro has gone through, and it's those errors. If you count up those errors, then Bill's the one that's got the much bigger count than Semipro, and that's basically what's cost him those 4 racks on the scoreboard. Semipro wins 11 racks to 7. Back into the tournament bracket, or in fact out of that into the one lost side match between Snake Eyes and Albinario. And as I said previously, I mean, Snake Eyes, he's been in 9-ball tournaments, you know, NRT tournaments, and well, he's over 2,000 in 8-ball, so he's obviously played a wee bit of it, and he won the first rack on his break. But now we're all square. And I think that was a dry one as well. All out. Albinario, he's got a plum combo sitting there, which obviously would mean that he's on the stripes. So if we look at the stripes and the way they're sitting, you've got the 2 down the table, the 10 goes, not a problem, the 11 goes into the side, and the 8 balls near the middle pocket. So it can pot the 9 down into the corner, bring the cue ball up the table. I don't know whether he can bring it good enough to get past the 8 ball with the angle that he's got. I mean, he might be killing it for the 14 into the side. Well, he's letting it run. But the way he's finished is the wrong side of the 14, so he's probably just going to end up coming back over to this right side. Or he's going to have to play an accurate one to be able to cut that, whatever the hell ball that is, the pink 12 again. But in the meantime, he's missed a 14. Well, mistakes like that are the things you need to pounce on. Welcome back to Semipro. Well, I tried to summarise it up. Semipro, just Bill just made a handful more errors than what you made, and the trouble with that is that they pretty much all cost him racks, although he got a lucky roll here or there. But you know, missing balls, trying to do too much with the cue ball, at times. That's what cost Bill. But again, in the defence of Bill and others, it's the fact that you don't play the 10-footer as often. And finding line and length takes a bit of acclimatisation. So meanwhile though, Albanario's the one who's made the error, missing that 14 ball cut into the side. And Snake Eyes on the solids, trying to get things done here, but he's let's have a look at where he is. Well, he's on the 5. The only big issue here is, sorry, not the 5, the 1. The only big issue is getting reasonably good in that 6 ball. 4 ball obviously is another slight problem, but he can certainly run right through past the 14 here. He doesn't want to overhit this though, and this is the one that's going to test the control. But he's not even doing that. He's going to leave the 6. Well, this is now awkward because it's a slightly blind pocket cut, and although there's a big chunk of the pocket shown, as we always say, that that ball suddenly doubles in size when you start cutting a 6 ball and trying to get past it. And the other problem is now where he's going to end up in the 4. If he tries to just nurse this in and finish bottom side of the 4, he may well have a shot. But he's just got to push this so the cue ball comes out past the 10. And he doesn't want to hook himself. Oh dear. Commentator's eye has done it again. You know, he had to make sure he came out past it. And he's done for. And Albanario is going to be reprieved in a minute. No, the 4 is way too... you know, that... I mean, let's be honest, if you were sitting nailed behind it, yes, you could probably squeeze it in, but it ain't going to happen. You know, so that's why I had to get on it up the table. You never know, he might kick it in here. Did he call the middle pocket? I don't know what pocket he called. But, well, there's an instance where Albanario's made the unforced error and Snake Eyes. This is what will cost Snake Eyes the match at the end of the day. Snake Eyes hasn't taken that opportunity, as difficult or as easy as it might have been. He just hasn't done it. And when you start counting them up at the end of the match, then you realise where you lost it, if it comes down to it. You know, when Albanario's at the table and the balls are generally there, you're not going to get many second chances. And Snake Eyes has managed to throw one away there, because Albanario won't be making a mistake this time. I don't know why I didn't think of that a long time ago, booting Stub out of YouTube. It's just a pity he hasn't got enough common sense to know that he can go to Twitch instead, but nobody tell him that. If he'd enough brains, he would have already worked that out. He probably doesn't know where Twitch is. Again, nobody tell him. Yeah, well, Semi-Pro's got nothing much to worry about general consistency. You know, at the end of the day, Semi-Pro might beat himself if things are maybe not going so good. You know, you have to totally focus on the game and get the bad rolls and that out of your head, because he's obviously proved he's good enough to win the thing. It's whether he beats himself up more than anything. So Albinario 2-1 in front on the solids, and well, I mean, you could say it's slightly awkward at the bottom of the table here. He's on the 4, but the 4 is forward of the 1 and 7. So you would normally just want to come back off the 4 and come in behind the 7 and 1, but I don't think he can do that because he'd be running into them. And he could go around the corner and come out between the 9 and the 15. Not the 9, the 11 and the 15. He's got enough angle, I think, to squeeze around the corner. I don't know whether he's going to risk it. He looks as if he is. Needs the spin to work, and it needs to get there, but it's brushed that 14 ball, and that's killed it. He had the right idea, but he's got a bailout ball though. And again, this could get tricky because if he doesn't get himself off that rail, and he's fairly straight in this ball, he needs to punch this in to get out into the table slightly. Now, what's he looking at here? Yeah, I don't think he's got much of an option. He has to get out into the table, I think. And that's a good shot. That's well controlled. So now he can jab the 1 in and get behind the 7. And then the worry is being able to leave that cut down the rail for the 8 ball. And the 8 ball, well, it's comfortably off the rail. So he's got a wee margin of error here. But this is where things are coming into place here with the players that move the ball better and deal with problems better and can get that cue ball under better control. They're the ones that are going to generally win out in the end, as much as they'll have their fair share of good luck and bad luck in the break and all that stuff, and you know, you take that into consideration. But when it comes to a table and a situation, players like Albinario, Cobra, Semipro, and all of those guys are going to have the better ammunition, the better tools to get the job done. And Snake Eyes now chasing Albinario's tail. Well, he's got the first part of the equation done. He's got a ball in the break, but he's got a big problem at the bottom of the table if he's going to take the stripes. Because I think let's have a look at that 8 ball. I think the worry here is you've got a problem either way. You've got a problem with the 7 ball, but if you take the 2, you can get in the short side of the 7. If you leave the 3, you can come across the table and try and cut that 8 in. But he's gone for the stripes. So now, having made that decision, he's going to be maybe trying to take the 11 and then start moving things here. Or if he gets here, he can take the 13. So he should already be trying to work things out in his head how to get there. I think he's dead straight on this as well. That's not going to help him much. Absolutely bolt straight. I tell you what, I don't think he's going to have anything on here unless he comes back to the rail and doesn't draw into the pocket and takes this 12. Well, this is a good angle, but he has to punch this in to get up the table and over in the general direction of that 3 ball. He has to control the pace though, because he doesn't want this cue ball to leak right away. If it leaks away, it's going to go way over beyond the 3. Well, this is what I talked about earlier. It's going to be a cut in the 3 ball, and if he puts any sort of draw into this and spin, he's going to chip into that 13. And he needs to watch that he doesn't stun into this 13 and combo the 8. Because that 8 is dead set. If he hits this flush, he needs to be careful. He wants to be, well, he's going for the 9 and trying to come inside. Well, that's not going to do him many favours. And now things are getting even more complicated. And this again, a player struggling to get there. Well, I suppose if you take your medicine, you just pot the 11 and you push that 13 into the 8, dead weight, and bide your time. Because I don't think he's going to have much more of an option. Well, I'll tell you, he might have made a pretty damn good effort to get there. Can he get enough of it? I think he might be able to. He's just going to have to drop this in, give it every chance to get into the jaws and get pulled into the pocket. But the cue ball's going to squirt away. Nope. The commentator's eyes got that one wrong. And that 8 ball, well, that's as close as frozen to the rail as it'll probably get. But Albinario has got 2 good balls to drop down right onto that rail, and it's pretty much a given that Albinario is going to increase his lead here. We'll have a proper look at the bracket at the end of this match. So 4 ball. He's again just got to get out into the table. Much rather get too far out than not far enough off this 4. And that will do nicely, because, well, although he's fairly straight, he's got enough just to draw and get him into a line in a 7 that can just drop straight onto the rail. You should already have had a look at this 8 ball to see how tight it is. Well, got to keep it flush. And 4-1 already is a mountain to climb, again considering it's now Albinario's break again. And I'll be stuck in the cue ball position where it's just appeared. He hasn't moved it. Well, he has now. And I'm sure Albinario's hitting the second ball that Steve was talking about. Well, that hasn't worked. But this is a pretty damn good table. I would fancy my chances with this setup. I mean, those two solids both go, even without looking at them. They both go. So the problem with the solids is a one ball. So if you eliminate that and you say, right, well, let's look at the stripes. The stripes are odds on. There's not really a problem. I mean, you know, you just have to get in the table to go on this 11. So, well, Snake Eyes, dare we state the obvious, you're 4-1 down. You've got a wide open table. You've got a big invitation to run it out, and to cut a long story short, you have to. No ifs or buts. Well, I might have gone a wee bit straight again on this 9 ball. I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about, but it just means he's going to probably end up taking the 11 across the table. And if he rolls through far enough, but not too far, he could... what ball did I say that was there? What the hell ball is that? The 11. Well, he could be taking the 11 next. But again, when you're playing this 11 ball, if you do, well, he hasn't got on it, and he's now running off the 12. This is where the cue ball's starting to move, where you don't want it to be moving. He doesn't want to be on this 11 where he's cutting it and going near this 5. He would have much rather been on it. So now he's running into trouble here because the cue ball's having to move in a particular direction. And, you know, right into the heart of the table for either of those two balls, whichever one it's going to be, I don't know yet. Well, that has decided it. It's going to be the 11. But again, the problem is just manoeuvring this cue ball in a good way to have a decent shot on it. Well, he's looking at it, but this is dangerous because he has to be... Again, he fears taking the 11 because he doesn't think he can get good in the 12, and he's not good in the 12 at the moment, but he's having a go at it, and he's still got to get good in the 11, and that's not going to get there, and the chance is gone. He took on... I mean, the two shots were tough for different reasons. That was a dodgy cut, but he knew he could get on the 11. The position he was in the 11 meant he had to play a good pot in the 11 and a control of the cue ball to be able to pot that 13, and he didn't back himself to do it. He took the tougher option, which was the awkward cut, and now he may well have sold out, and the only thing that might come to the rescue is the fact that the 1 and the 5 ball are going to be the stumbling blocks for Albinario. Well, Albinario can deal with the 1 ball now. I'm pretty certain he'll have a go at it. No, he's not. He's just trying to drop into it, squeeze it down the rail. How does he solve his 5-ball problem? And of course the other problem is just getting onto that 4-ball where he's not having to play some crazy combo in a 6 and 4. You know something, I think that 5 might go. I think if you just miss the 11, you might be able to cheat the pocket, but you'd have to hit it real soft. And he's tried to improve it, and that's perfect. But again, it's how you deal with the problems. And the better players that manoeuvre the cue ball are the better, you know, they'll get the better chances of moving that problem ball or improving that problem ball or getting to that problem ball. So across the table twice, I would think, and out. And it's going to be 5-1. But again, it's all come about with Snake Eyes not getting the job done. And these matches now will take a familiar pattern on the one-loss side in particular, where there's some heavy artillery moving over to that one-loss side, and unfortunate players are going to be bumping into them, and they're going to end up finding that the race to 8 is going to be too damn short, and they're not going to be able to take enough chances when they get them to be putting pressure on these guys in a race to 8. So Snake Eyes on his break, trailing 5-1. Ball in the break, and they are all there. Whatever he takes, they are all available. Now, when I say that, and he's went for the solids, how's he going to deal with that 2-ball? The 5-ball goes, the 2-ball does go, so the immediate plan should be taking that 5-ball, but you have to get a good line on it in order to take that 5-ball in the gap past the 14 and the 3 if it's still there. So this is what he has to be doing, and I think if he just drops that ball into the pocket, he'll be on that 2-ball. And that's his biggest priority, is doing that right now, and that's good. So the 2-ball, I think the best thing to do would be to take the 1-ball after the 2 and leave the 3-ball to get to the 8. But I don't think it's wise to be leaving the 1-ball to get to the 8. That just means the cue ball's got to travel further, and that can always cause an issue. If you pot that 1, go through with the cue ball and come down into the table, you're going to have a much easier shot for the 3 to just bring the cue ball out for the 8. Now, the 8 ball is going into that side pocket. So he just has to stun it onto the rail, go nowhere near the 14 and get the pace right, and he'll have a line into the centre pocket. Well, you see, there's a player struggling to control the cue ball and play the proper shot. And, you know, technical problems like that, where executing the shot properly and getting far too much juice into the cue ball. You see, again, that needed that controlled stun with a tiny feather of spin. And Snake Eyes has overjuiced it, as many players tend to do, and gone straight into the pocket and blown a golden opportunity there. It's like a demonstration video, this. You know, this is how to do it by Albinario, and this is how to end up getting yourself in trouble with Snake Eyes. He's had, how many racks has he had first go at dealing with a problem? And that rack there was not really a problem. It's just taking them in the right order and doing that final control shot to get out to the 8. And he was unreliable with his control of the pace and the cue ball. And it's gifted it to Albinario. So Albi now 2 away, back to his own break. And this time Albinario is trying a soft break. And that's not a bad ploy from one point of view, because it's, you know, it's saying to Snake Eyes, well, here's a table with a particular setup, the balls are reasonably tight, but you're getting an opportunity to try and work out a problem, and seeing as you've failed on most of them, I don't think you can get the job done here, says Albinario. Who's he playing? Mark Selby. Oh Jesus, 4-0 down. I saw the fixtures earlier on this afternoon, and I said Selby will walk that, no problem. Well, you know, even at 4-0 down, I would never write off Mark Selby. He'll grind Vafai into the ground before he lets him win the match. Well, Albinario's ploy has come to fruition, because Snake Eyes has missed the 9, albeit he's not left Albinario much. That's the trouble with these guys, though, in the sort of lower echelons of the rankings. They're all well capable of potting balls, and they can all play well. The problem is they can only all play well for like one match. They can never generally string it together long enough to go deep into a tournament, because it's so damn difficult at the pro level. Oh, I just read the chat there. Snake Eyes is saying, "Why are you doing that?" Well, I've just said in the commentary why he's doing that. Because he doesn't think he can run the table. That's why. And Albinario's going to get his chance and going to again demonstrate how you get the job done. Well, those two balls go, there's not an issue. Now, the other slight issue, which is a challenge for Albinario, is how to get onto this 8 ball. So it's clear now that it's going to be 5, 4, and probably just drop down bottom side of the 8, so around about the 9, or maybe down onto the bottom rail. He doesn't want to go too straight. He's going to have to just punch this in a wee bit if he wants to miss that 9. Oh, he's managed to squeeze it into the little area. Perfect. Well, there, you know, if Snake Eyes wants an answer to his question as to why Albinario did the soft break, that's again the perfect example. Albinario on the hill. And of course, Albinario was diplomatic with the answer by saying Cobra inspires me, but the truth is that's why he did it. Because it all worked out perfect for him in the end. Albinario was confident enough and good enough to manoeuvre the cue ball into the right spots to get the job done. And poor Snake Eyes isn't getting a ball in the break either. And Albinario has made his decision, although that hasn't worked out too good for him. When did he do that? At 120 racks and a bounce. So Albie's called a safety. Well, this rack's going to take slightly longer to resolve. Well, the one thing you can guarantee is Stubb won't be doing the soft break. So he's going to be really annoyed when whoever gets to play him starts doing it against him. That's a guarantee. Snake Eyes. Well, what's he got? Well, he could call the 4 and push the 1 onto the short rail and knock the 4 in. It's not really going to help the situation though. He could smack the 4 in and start busting things open, but then he has to follow it up and run out. Well, I think he needed to be a bit more vigorous than that, unless he's going to play right behind that 5 and 10 and get that 5 to follow the 10 in, or break it out off the 3. But there you go, the mistake is made in focusing on that and not focusing on the pot, and this match is over. I take it Chico and Stubb haven't set their match yet, because I don't think I saw anything in the on the bracket or on the main page. There's only one match left, the one tomorrow night. Shibo and Spectre Dawn. So it's a comfortable win for Albinario. Very solid clinical performance, and once again, a bit like the first match, just too many errors from Snake Eyes, and Albinario, well worthy winner at 8 racks to 1. So let's have a look at this bracket to catch up with exactly where we are now. So if we look at this winner's side, we've got Semipro having gone through earlier, 11 racks to 7. Set up against Bedhead for the next big match. If we then go down, we've got Cheeky Chico to play Stub, and Sergaresh is waiting for the winner of that match. So, well, things have got to happen soon enough, but this will be Stubbs, or it should be Stubbs' biggest test so far in the tournament, because he's had it fairly soft for the most part in the matches that he's played, and he hasn't really been tested yet, but it's got to happen. On the one loss side, if we go from top to bottom, we've got Albinario has obviously gone through, and Spectre Dawn and Shibo play tomorrow night, and the winner there will play Albinario. So it's all bad news for whatever side of the tournament you're on. You're going to bump into somebody you don't want to bump into. We've got Bill through on the one loss side now, waiting to play the winner of LS3 and Marcellus. We go further down, we've got Jover to play Jeeves, all the J's, and we've got Jose to play Mr. Strokem, and that is it, folks. So the match tomorrow night in the one loss side, Shibo against Spectre Dawn. Thanks all for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'm off to watch the snooker, and I'll bid you good night, and I'll see you again soon.